Right fans, I've just been working on something which has had my head itching, and so I've needed to scratch it, and that is cascading select in QGIS forms. Forms are pretty useful. They can help your datasets stay tidy and your databases working. So we're going to look at that. Before we do, I'm just going to jump into a quick bit of housekeeping. I would like to say thanks for all the interactions we've been having. I've been blown away by comments and by you guys getting involved with the community tab on the burdGIS channel. So if you go to the channel page and go to the community tab, you can see all polls and posts that I've been putting out. And here you can see that Sue Cathy asked how to get in touch to ask GIS questions. And there is a number of ways. You can get me on Twitter, you can get me on the burdGIS website, or the Facebook page as well. And there's this new one too, YouTube's messaging service. So a couple of people have already added me on that, which is great. So that means you can have direct contact with me. Now, most of what we'll be looking at today can be found in the properties of this particular layer. So I want you to imagine that we are doing a habitat survey, and we've got several different types of habitat that we need to record or update, whatever. And if we just go into the properties of this layer and you go to the attributes form, you can see in my attribute table I've got an FID, a code, a class and a habitat, and currently all of these are set to be a text widget. So what that means is if I go up to edit and I go to add a line feature, ding, 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 I will add my line feature, right click, and then I can input all of these fun things. So it might be A.2.2, the class might be woodland, and the habitat, well, it could be a very long name. Now, if you're doing this for a lot of things, this could get very tricky, and you don't know who's inputting the data, you don't know how tired you might be when you're inputting your own data, and I can already see that I've started to make mistakes. Databases are very unforgiving of mistakes, so it would be good to have this validated, and we can do that in several different ways. Here I've been online and I have put together or found a CSV that has all the different line types for a habitat phase 1 survey here in the UK. So we've got a value, which is A.2.2 or whatever, and then a description. And what we could do with this is put together a value map. So I'm going to save this CSV and then we're going to use it in our QGIS project. Here we are back in Q, and I'll just double click that layer to open up the attributes form again. And for our habitat layer, instead of the widget type being text edit, I am going to change this to a value map. Now here we've got the value and we've got a description, so I'm going to load that data from a CSV file, and I'll go to where I've saved it, which is here, line value map.csv. Open that up and it automatically loads all of our values and our descriptions. Marvelous. So if I OK that, and then I go to edit and I edit another line layer, then my code, I could put in whatever, class I could put in whatever, and here we have a long list of habitats that we can put in. Now this means that our data is going to be validated, and so every time I put in A.2.2 scrub, that is definitely going to be the same. There's going to be no spelling errors or anything like that, which is pretty cool. Now, one thing to note is that there is a lot of options there, and it would be kind of nice to delimit them. So now let's have a look at how we can do that. So here's our long list. We've got a value and then we've got a detailed description. Now we could break this down into classes, and you can see here we've got a bunch of A's and then a C, F, and then a bunch of G's. So I made another CSV called lines classification, and this has got a code, A, C, F, whatever it is, and then a description of what that actually is. So all the A's are going to be woodland types, all the C's are going to be tall herbs and ferns, and you can see that over here. So A, scrub, broadleaf, coniferous, that's all woodland. I then made a third CSV, which is a little more detailed, and that has got the code, which relates to this code, and it has the JNCC code, and it's got the class, which is a little more user friendly, and then it's got a full description of the habitat type. Now what we're going to do is get two of these CSVs, the line classification and the line classification lookup, into our QGIS project and into that geo package. So I'll do that now. Here we are back in QGIS, lots of toing and froing today, and I'm just going to add these layers in, our CSVs, so they're going to be delimited text layers. The file name that I'm looking for is lines classification. Very good, it's a CSV, it's got no geometry, and let's just have a look at sample data. Looks good. Okay, so lines classification is in, and lines classification lookup, same deal, that looks good. Add it in. Okay, and close that down. Right, now that they're into our project, I'm just going to drag and drop them into our geo package. There's probably a quicker way to do this. Oops. But this definitely works. All right, so I'm just going to remove these layers, remove that, and remove that. And then I'm going to add the geo package layers back in. So I'm certainly sure that I'm dealing with these guys, which I am. Okay. With these layers in, or these tables in our geo package, now we can get on to the fun stuff. So let's begin by opening up our phase 1 and having a look at our attributes form. Now I'm going to ignore code for now, and I'm just going to go straight to class. And currently that is set to the widget type of text edit. I'm going to change this, and I'm going to put it to a value relation. The layer that we're going to use for our value relation is going to be lines classification, and the key column is going to be code, and the value column is going to be description. Now we could do this all at once, but instead I'm going to show you what this looks like. So I'll OK that. Now we are going to edit and add in a new line. Here is our new line. You can see that code is still null, but now for our class, we have got a choice of woodland, tall herb fern, miscellaneous, unassigned, etc. So that's pretty cool, and I can choose any of these, open water, and then the options, we've still got all the options available. And what we're aiming to do here is to limit these according to the matching code. So that's fine, I'll put that in there, open back up. And then for our habitats, instead of having a value map, what we would like is a value relation. And for this layer, we're going to use lines classification. Our key column is going to be code, because the code is the same in both of our tables. And so it's going to use that to actually look up what is going on. And the value column that we're going to use is going to be habitat. So that's what the user is going to see. Now the really crucial part of this is to use a filter expression. And what we're going to filter on is the code. And we are going to say that the code is going to be equal to the current value of class up here. So whatever the user puts in as the class, that is what the code will actually be, and that will limit what habitats we can actually put in. So let's have a look at that in the expression editor. You can see here we've got the code field is equal to the current value, and note that we only use single quotation marks around class because that's part of our form. So we'll OK that and OK that, and you guessed it, let's edit another line. So I'm going to put another line in here. Now here we can choose woodland, and when we choose woodland, we are limited to only things that start with the A. And let's just test this out on open water. This should only be the G's, and there's only the G's, etc. And if we go down to miscellaneous, then we get things like fences, walls, dry ditches. Okay, that. So that is how we can do cascading select in QGIS. Now, I know that you're all keen mappers, and so as part of your homework, yes, homework, you can work out how to automatically populate code with the JNCC code in here. And that's not for the user to input, it's just going to happen automatically. You can change this in the code to be editable or not editable, up to you. I would make it not editable, and then you need to link it somehow. So just a bit of practice for you there. If you would like the files, the CSVs and stuff like this to save yourself a bit of time, do let me know. And before I go, I'd like to say a huge shout out to those of you that have been utilising the coffee donation system that I introduced last time. Richard S, John Gary M, you are both legends. Thanks very much for buying me a coffee. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Please do like the videos if you like them. And sharing them is hugely important as well. It's great, it helps get the word out and increase education in GIS. So thanks a lot for watching and happy mapping.